The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at talkrealsolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of talkrealsolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not talkrealsolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
Welcome all to Talk Real Solutions. I am your host tonight, Sister Nobody. The number to call in is 717-908-1834. Use access code 917324. And press star 61. Matter of fact, the lines are open, so you don't even have to press star 61. Just as you come in, just mute your phone, and bam. Welcome, y'all, to Talk Real Solutions. You know, tonight the topic is, oh, shit. I didn't write down the topic. Let me see. What did I say the topic was? The topic is safety concerns at schools across America. And I think I might be saying it wrong, but then again, I might be saying it right. You know, when I heard grown men talk about or claim how they could have had a sexual relations with what we call a trusted employee of the state, I would wave it off. I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. They're talking crazy. But no, there has been an increase. There has been an increase of sexual assault, sexual misconduct when it comes to the state employees we call teachers. There has been an increase of that. So much so, it seemed like every day there's as the young people say, YT person on the news who've had sexual relations with some children. Every day. I looked it up. In the last 24 hours, you had a Northeast Nebraska teacher who was facing charges for having a sexual relationship with a student. 6 hours ago, you have out there in Fort Collins High School, you have a high school teacher that was arrested for sexual assault, sexual exploitation of a child. Out there in Delaware, I didn't write down the time, but it was recent, maybe a day ago. Middle school principal pleads guilty to raping child for 4 years. Then to top it off, we have a YT female teacher who sent nude pictures to a student. And then the resource officer at that school tried to cover it up for her. You know, we got a problem going on in these schools. 4 to 5 million children have experienced some form of educator misconduct at some time. There are over 14,000 allegations of sexual assault. There's 786 allegations of rape or attempted rape. Now, this estimate was a couple of years ago. The increase has been 59% increase for sexual assault. We're talking about teachers who spend 8 to maybe 12 hours a day with children. It's been a 99% increase for rape and attempted rape. And this was back in 2016. This estimate was given. See, when you try to Google it, because it involves the YT people, they don't have the real numbers. And that's disturbing. Because just like the police force, when they work at one school, they go to another school and work. And then they continue their sexual assaults. We got a real problem. Those are the numbers that I have. You know, I like to say on Talk Real Solutions, like we like the watchers. We watch we watch and we discuss the abnormalities in society, and this is a big one because these children are not safe at these schools. I'm sure some of y'all could think back and attest to what I'm saying right now. When my brother wanted to play basketball in elementary school, my father said no. And then come to find out, the coach was molesting some of the boys that were on the basketball team. The YT coach. Hey, Howard, I know you're there. I'm thinking that's you in the background. Or it could be someone else. Just remind everybody your lines is open. There's no line that is muted. There's no Q&A session tonight. You are free to speak. And we have a problem. These YT people are teaching our children and is sexually exploiting them. And they're not just doing it to our children. They're doing it to other children as well. And don't tell me this case is it might happen once. No, this is every day. You could look at you could read somewhere in America, a teacher has sexually assaulted a student. There was a former teacher in Minneapolis, St. Paul's, Minneapolis. He had sexually assaulted 120 children. Guess how much time he's only serving? He's only serving 12 years for sexually assaulting 120 children. They gave him 12 years. And we talk about justice, right? We have the big advocates for justice and for the criminal system, and you know Sarge. Everybody knows Sarge. Matter of fact, recap from last night, and just Sarge, you need to calm down before you catch a heart attack. You really need to calm down. That's all I wanted to say. Howard, if you have something you want to say or add on, please come on.
No, I don't have much to say. Those numbers surprised me. I didn't know. I didn't know that was going on like that. those numbers, which is, I'm sure, why you decided to bring it to the forefront. Um, yeah, that opens my eyes. Like, wow, I didn't know that was to that degree. So yeah, I'm chilling and do
You
your
know what
thing,
made
you
me
guys. Oh, go ahead.
what made me want to look was there was a guy on YouTube. I can't remember his name, but he's always speaking about injustice and he plays clips. But he had posted a bunch of YT females who were teachers who had sexually assaulted the students. He had posted their pictures. I mean, I was like, let me look. And when I looked, I found this damn near happens every day somewhere.
Wow. Yeah, and I've seen it a lot of time. At least in today's time, they are focusing on these white, what you say, white tea women that are preying on their students. That's being been they're talking about it a lot more in the news now these days. It seems always to be a little young white woman. So yeah,
Oh,
but I didn't
yeah.
know the numbers were that high. Like I said before, I did not know they were that high.
I thought, you know what, when some of my friends was talking about it, I was thinking they was joking, like, get out of here. Ain't no teacher hit on you, because it was in disbelief. But it could have been possible based on what the numbers are. I'm sure back in the days it probably was even worse. Well, how do these teachers become so comfortable to the fact that they were sexual assault a student? How do they become so comfortable to do that?
Right. I don't know. Right. That's crazy.
There was one teacher who had sexual relations with a 15-year-old. She went and did her time, and the hussy got out of prison. The hussy got out of prison and went back to that student who is now a young adult, married him, and I guess they living happily ever after.
Do you remember
There's something wrong with them?
baby by the kid? That was a long time ago. That was like the beginning of them telling, everybody these stories. You don't remember that, the white lady? I think the dude might have been native or something.
It looks like he got a Hispanic name or a Latino name or native. Yeah.
Yeah, they end up getting married and shit and had kids. I forgot that dude's name. I don't know if they're still together today, but I remember that he was young, like maybe 12, 13. They might have like 2 or 3 kids. I forgot how that turned out. Like, that's on some wild shit. You only have a motherfucker trying to marry your damn, what do you call it, your person that abused you. Most of the time, it's like a young male. Well, that's actually the only time. I can't see a young female marrying her abuser.
Well, we see that. Well, we see that a lot in the churches.
Oh, they
see
do?
that a lot in the churches. Listen,
See,
I had a friend. She said she was her parents' only child, and she got pregnant by the preacher, by the pastor of the church, and her parents made her marry him.
Damn.
And she wound up having 2 more children by him. You talking about a fucked up lady? She was. Oh, excuse my French. She was a jacked up lady behind that.
Wow. Wow.
And she was 14 or 15 when she got pregnant by the preacher pastor. So we got a lot of that going on in the churches.
So instead of them sending the damn pastor to jail, they sent their daughter down the down the aisle. Wow.
That's right. That's right.
That's crazy. Now that's crazy.
Right. I guess to them it would have I guess to them, I don't know, back in that time it was probably less embarrassing, instead of going through the course. And then again, back in those times, sexual assault was kind of taboo. Am I saying it right? Nobody really spoke about sexual assaults like that. There was no justice when it came to sexual assaults. So instead of embarrassing them, they made her marry him.
Very, very interesting. I wish some women would call in. I don't know who's on the line or not, but this is a tender subject, and I think better explained by women and men, because women, by far, I think, but maybe you got some new evidence. I think get abused like that more than men. So, and I'm not an expert.
I think the numbers are about the running neck and neck. And today's climate, I think the numbers are running neck and neck. Matter of fact, let me look and see what the numbers are. As far as male and female sexual assault.
For minors, make sure you put for minors. Yeah, but I'm sitting back. But go ahead. I'm here. I'm listening.
No, there's not too many people on the line. There's not too many people on the line.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's just for a little while. It's just me and you. People are slow to get on, so I don't know why they're slow to get on. I don't know what happened over the course of a couple of years to where people are just slow to get on. Or maybe because it's Friday, they're doing other things.
Well, it hasn't been like the last couple of years. The only show that say, hey, at this time this show starts, is only on 2 days, and I think that's Thursday and Saturday. So for the last couple of years, every other day has, it's random. So, you got to lock them in and say, hey, Friday, at this time, this is my time, and it's going down, and I'm going to put, my thing on. So I think that's just what it is. Yeah.
Hey, Sister Anthony, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
Good. The lines are open, and tonight we're talking about safety concerns at schools across America, dealing with these white tea people and their sexual assaults on the students. It seems like every day somewhere in the world is going on.
Yes, it is. And then, hello, East Coast. And then with 70,000 West Africans that they brought over. I listened to Papa Duck today talking about that and how they're going to be against us, and that same attitude that they have over there with the way how they treat the Africans over there, that they're going to feel that they can come here and do the same thing. So we may end up with a larger amount of our own in jail behind them.
I understand what you're saying. I think they're gonna have a rude awakening. I think they're gonna have a rude awakening.
Yeah. But I don't see where it's going to be good. And, especially with Trump bringing all these white folks over here. And to me, it's almost like how they did the Australians when they took over Australia. And then you have the natives that they basically hide. And is that what he's going to try to do with us? Because he's going against the Constitution every which way he can. And then, like the Constitution doesn't mean anything to him. And y'all have to forgive me, I got a cold, so I sound terrible.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. So do you see the Africans the South Africans as a threat?
Well, they're white South Africans.
To Black Americans?
They're not black. So the same attitude that they had over there, and naturally, it's ingrained in them. I don't think they're going to come over here and, embrace us like we're their friends. And then, we have to ask, do we want them to? Is that what we want?
I understand. Sister Antoinette, did you ever hear of any of your male friends stating that a sexual assault or a teacher hit on them at school?
When I was in high school, I remember this one guy who was dating the teacher. He later married her. But I do remember that. He was a white guy, and it was a white teacher. But I never heard of it being black on black. I never heard of any time where black males got involved with a teacher.
Right.
But that one guy I do remember in high school who got involved. And he was a Brazil, and she still continued to be a teacher there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because Howard feels that the females would be better at speaking about sexual assault than the males would be. I don't know why, because they just had a whole big old conversation of Cassie and P. Diddy last night. They felt very comfortable speaking about it then. But I think the illusion is that it doesn't happen to the boys. That's the illusion. Like, sexual assault does not happen to the boys, and that is so untrue.
You're right about that. That is untrue. I think that women not more comfortable, but it's more acceptable coming from a woman, because it's like men are always supposed to be ready to participate.
Right.
So,
I get what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take too much to get them. prepared to participate, especially during the younger years, high school in the early 20s, maybe even up to 30, that they're willing participants. Now, somebody in their 50s or so, then I don't know, and I still think that a man's pride, they won't really admit to it.
Right. Right. Well, it's so bad they started a program called, let me look what it says. Let me look at the program they started. It's RAINN, which is Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. Let's see, how long has this program been going on? Oh, this program been going on for 30 years, it says.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard of it.
Me either. Me either.
Wow. So what is there? Do they have a high rating?
No, it's just, it's for victim services, public education, public policy, consulting, and training. And they have other programs as well.
Do they have a lot of people on it?
Do they have a lot of people on it? No, it's a program that I guess they offer for people that who have been sexually assaulted. So they have victim services. Let me see what the public education is.
Okay.
No, I'm just looking. Yeah, they have victim services. They have a 1-800 number for 24 hours a day, and also they have an online. They have a website. They claim to have helped 3.7 million quote unquote survivors of sexual assault. They partner with organizations, universities, government agencies.
Okay.
And with public education, they claim to raise visibility of sexual violence and advance the public understanding of the crime. So yeah, based on their website, they try to give as much information and provide as much services to someone who has been sexually assaulted. And it's called RAINN, RAIN. The program is called RAINN, RAIN.
Now, do they say how many black men have been sexually molested?
Well, say that again.
Do they tell how many men have been sexually molested?
No, they don't. They don't. Let me try that one more time.
And then how many black men?
Let me try that again. One in 33, according to the CDC. Yep.
Now, how many of them were black men?
Let's see. Let's look up black male. 14%. They don't give a number. 14%. 1 in 6. 1 in 6.
Now, that doesn't sound right. Does that sound right to you?
I mean, it's possible. It is possible. Let me look up white males.
A black man with a black mother?
Well, boys are allowed to travel, so that could put them accessible to, and plus they do the sports and things of that nature, so they could put them in harm's way of being sexually assaulted. And then you got to realize a lot of people don't do like the old school people used to do. The old people, if you was a boy under that certain age of 11, 12, 13 years old, you went into the ladies' room to use the bathroom. Parents today, they send the little boys into the men's room. They don't know what's going on behind them doors, and these are little kids.
Yeah.
Okay, according to, let's see, quick facts, sexual abuse offenders. Oh, this is offenders. Okay. Let me get that. Get out of that. Let's see what the numbers are. All right, so they said approximately 1 in 21 men reported that they were made to penetrate someone else during their lifetime. Most men who were made to penetrate someone else reported that the perpetrator was either an intimate partner or an acquaintance. And that's at 44%, and both of them are 44%, 44.8 and 44.7. Let's see.
Now that they embellish the numbers because they got to make our numbers higher than the white man.
Okay. You think they have embellished the numbers?
Yes. Because that's higher than the white people's, right? And they got to put our face on
No, this
everything.
is a national. This is everybody together. This is based on a 2015 data brief of sexual assault. Yeah. So you got 1 in 14 men, and then you got 1 in 6 women. So that's estimated at 7.9 million in the U.S. as far as men go, and about 19.2 million as far as women go.
So
that's a high percentage.
Yeah. So where are all these people at?
I guess they're the ones that are in dysfunctional relationships. I don't know. Yeah. Or maybe the school teachers.
Yeah, I think they embellish the numbers.
You think so?
Especially when it comes to us. Yeah, because I don't know, they don't want to fall too short of English numbers. I don't know, and then they're not naming the names of the ones that were accused. Why are they still out walking the streets? if you know that they did this, then why are they allowed to be free?
Right.
So who is the accuser?
Right. Right. Well, everybody, your lines is open, so if you want to speak, you can speak. We were talking about the safety in schools in schools across America. These YT teachers, female teachers, are sexually assaulting the students. I want to know how they become so comfortable to do this. That's what I want to know.
I think it's a lot of it is that parents don't show up. And you have to show up to make your presence known that you're involved in your children's lives. So then they know that they're held accountable, because you never know when the parents are going to come up and what the parents will do to you.
That is true. That is true.
You know what I mean? Because if they're going to school and you don't hear from the parents, then that's like saying that the parents don't care in their eyes.
Right.
Whereas if you show up, they know they're going to have to deal with you and that you care what's going on with your children.
You know what? I was just thinking, do you remember a couple of years ago, there was a black male student who normally would stay after school with a YT female teacher. And this particular day, he killed her and walked out of the school and took her car and drove off the premises.
No.
They saw it on camera where he went into the bathroom to clean himself up, and then he took her car and went on about his business. But normally they would stay after school together. So I'm thinking, could this have been a case of a possible sexual assault or a sexual relationship that they was having?
It sounds like it could be. Or she tried to make a pass on him.
Right.
And he didn't want any parts of it. I mean,
matter of fact, that case, when they said it, and then it just kind of like disappeared. You didn't hear any more about it. You know.
Oh my.
Interesting. Anyway, the lines is open. This is Talk Real Solutions. If you have something you want to say, you are more than free to speak. The lines are open.
I don't know. You would think that as a male, they wouldn't really be making advances because they know they're going to get caught.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, Antoinette. Well, thank you, Antoinette, Miss Antoinette. I'm not going off the line, but I just wanted to let Tyrone know to go ahead and take it, Okay. Okay, well, thank you, Antoinette. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Talk Real Solutions. I'm your host, Sister Nobody. The lines will remain open, and we can continue the discussion offline. I know people are slow to come on, but, hey, we'll get better soon. But yeah, you can continue, Miss Antoinette.